All right. Well, how's it going, everyone? This is Dr. Dane Cunningham of Mother Goose Chiropractic. Welcome to our webinar on asthma and allergies. We're going to go over looking into how to boost your child's immune system. Now, we are doing this, Mother Goose Chiropractic. We are in a partnership with the National Family Wellness Alliance. If you see it on there, it's a wonderful charity that we work with, and they help us develop some of our educational content to get the word out there about how pediatric chiropractic can help children and adults. So, a little bit about us. Mother Goose Chiropractic, we specialize in pediatrics and pregnancy here in Southwest Florida, sunny Southwest Florida, as I like to say. My name, again, is Dr. Dane, and I practice with my wife, Dr. Carrie. And if you are in the MGC tribe and you're watching this just to learn a little bit more, or you know us, or you've been to the office, you know that our one-year-old son, Ananias, is our mascot, and he's always in the office on Friday mornings with us. So in Mother Goose Chiropractic, we take care of babies, toddlers, children, young adults, and of course, moms and dads, full families. So I always like to start off by explaining that, in chiropractic is not a treatment or cure for any disease, especially given what's going on around the round world that we live in today and some of the craziness that, we're dealing with as a society and as a country. But what I have noticed in the families and the children that we take care of and how the conversations have shifted and changed in the last couple weeks is that when you have a big event, when you have a crisis, when you stress a system that's already stressed, and kiddos are home doing work from their tablets and routines are different, mom and dad are working from home, areas that were already issues tend to become magnified, and that certainly can be the case when it comes to how a child's brain and nervous system, how their immune system are functioning. So, whether it's behavioral issues, emotional issues, immune challenges, things like asthma and allergies, I wanted to get on and make sure that we were bringing you folks, the latest research, not just the science, but also the stories of individuals and kiddos that we've been able to help. So, when it comes to asthma and allergies, I remember when I was in school, peanut butter sandwiches weren't a problem, and there was that one kid in the class with asthma, right? Whereas today, it is rife. It is, children everywhere. These things have gone through the roof. 1 out of 8 for asthma, and 1 out of 3 or 4 for allergies. Now, I don't remember these issues being so prolific when I was a child, and one of the reasons they've gone up is because we have more stress, work, stress, life, home, family, school, technology. The pace of our lives has changed, and the brain has to process all that. But our genes haven't changed, right? So it's not bad germs, bad genes, and bad lucks. There's a lot of different lifestyle factors and habits that have really changed when you look at the life of a child versus just 10, 15, 20 years ago, the life of a child back then. So a lot of things have changed. We want to bring you the latest information going into the webinar this evening, specifically to how is the immune system connected to the nerve system. How could pediatric chiropractic possibly help strengthen function of the immune system specific to asthma and allergies? All right, you guys probably noticed that I just moved the window for where I am. I think that's a little bit easier to see. I'm testing new software, so bear with me, guys. And I also have my notes in front of me because taking care of children and getting information out there to empower parents like you is a very, very important part of our mission. So if I'm glancing down every now and then, it's just because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything or forget anything. So, mom and dad, if you keyed in and you saw a link to this webinar and you have a child that is struggling with asthma and or allergies, first and foremost, I want you to know that we understand the struggles, okay? Because those are the children and families that we take care of. When specific to asthma, you have to drop them off at school under normal conditions, and you're not sure they're going to have their inhaler in time on the playground, during recess, during PE class, is that going to be okay? Obviously, that can be stressful. And we understand, in younger children with RSV and the croup and breathing treatments, those, late night runs to the ER and, oh my gosh, why can't my baby breathe? And it can be so difficult, especially for new parents, because you're trying to find answers and you're wondering, is there something that I could have done differently? What's wrong? Why isn't my child healthy? What can I do? And we understand that story. We understand those struggles. What we do at Mother Goose Chiropractic is help people change their story. We want to help you and your child and your family define better. Very, very important. So when we talk about how the immune system functions, why are these issues in children going through the roof in the last 5 to 10 years? According to the CDC, the current generation of children is not going to outlive their parents. That's not okay with me. That's not okay on our watch. And at Mother Goose Chiropractic, we are trying to change that by showing families a better way to health so that we can have the healthiest families in the state of Florida and Southwest Florida. That's the goal here for Lee and Collier. That's what we do at Mother Goose Chiropractic. So, what's gone up, what's changed? We talked about, stress and, school and social media, online, hazing, bullying. Kids are more overscheduled than ever. That's a huge component that we see, this sort of helicopter parenting phenomenon, right? That they go from one extracurricular to the other to the next, and kids don't really have any downtime. So kids can be just as stressed, as an overworked CEO or executive. It's crazy some of the schedule that these kids try to keep. And as we get busier and busier, then what goes by the wayside? Well, we don't always eat as healthy as we should, right? Diet plays a big role. I had a mom the other day that was asking me, at a progress exam that, oh my gosh, their emotions are great. Their congestion's going away. That's amazing. They haven't been sneezing, and all this stuff is coming online as the body's able to heal. What should I be doing nutritionally? And of course, nutrition plays a huge part in the immune system. I always like to say, get rid of white bread, white flour, white sugar. Processed garbage like that just serves to bog down the gut, which consequently bogs down the immune system. We're going to be talking about that. But if you can get out the white bread, the white flour, and white sugar, guys, bread's very 20th century. I hate to be a naysayer on that one, but there's no reason you can't just throw the lettuce, tomato, meat, and the cheese right in a Tupperware or a Ziploc. Ditch the bread. It's just extra sugar, bogs down the immune system. It's like a car, and an engine. It's like putting sawdust in your motor oil. It's just going to slow down and make that system sluggish. So ditching the excess sugar is one of the best things you can do. Vitamin D, right? Sunny Southwest Florida. And, it's been awesome the last couple of weeks to see all the people that, that stay home that are rocking out and getting out and playing catch and walking their dogs and going for walks after dinner. So getting outside, plenty of sun and plenty of fresh air, those are really, really important too. Great ways to boost that immune system. But the really important point that I want to really drive home when I say that it's not bad germs, bad genes, or bad luck, guys, children aren't getting sicker. We don't have more asthma and allergies because there are more germs, right, that are in the environment that just, oh no, that's why we're getting sicker. It's not the environment. It's the external environment. It's our internal environment. So another way to say that I had a professor in school that used to say, flies don't cause garbage, right? You keep your kitchen clean, you take the trash out regularly, you do what you need to do to keep that area up to snuff. There aren't going to be flies because there's nowhere for them to take root. There's nothing to attract them, right? So your resiliency and the health of the body and the immune system is the exact same way. The reason kids are getting sicker more often, that they're having more issues, is because they're more unhealthy in the first place. And that's really the goal of this information tonight, is how do we strengthen, instead of changing the body, a weakened body, or changing the environment, we want to strengthen the internals. We want to strengthen your adaptability and resiliency. And that is where chiropractic care comes in. Long story short, in a nutshell, our greatest influence is not back and neck pain, it's over neurology, because your brain and your nervous system run the body. In fact, we did a Kick the Six series, which I'd recommend you go back to. The nervous system and the immune system really together are one super system, and it's the nervous system, which is where chiropractic adjustments can influence, and it's the brain and the nervous system that tell the immune system what to do, where to go, when to turn on a response and turn off a response, and how to fight, and how to bed that fever back down, and humoral immunity in the blood, so you don't have autoimmune challenges or things like asthma, allergies over time. So it's all about balance, but it's all about making sure you have a clear neurological connection so the brain can make the best decision with the information that it's given, so that you can be resilient and resistant to the bugs and the germs that we live in constant equilibrium with. That's what chiropractic is all about. Let's strengthen the body. Let's make the individual healthier so that the body can fend off and fight off and display appropriate responses. That's the real way to strengthen your immune system, guys, right? And that's a really, really important shift in perception about how we think about our health and the health of our children. Easy way to remember it: Flies don't cause garbage. So again, these are some of the key factors in contributing to the fact that we're less resilient, how the immune system is weakened. So less movement. Oftentimes we see we've got a nice break, right, as everyone is home banding together. But oftentimes kids are being taught to the test. We've gotten rid of recess, so less movement. And that goes for moms and dads too. As you're sitting home or sitting at a desk doing work, less active during these types of seasons. We talked about vitamin D. Make sure you get outside and get plenty of vitamin D. But also sleep. When you're stressed and you can't sleep, or a child is overscheduled, or they've got extra homework and extracurriculars, that's a constant challenge. Everyone that I know in America, I think we could all be getting more healthy, restorative, restful sleep. Really, really important. Again, when it comes to nutrition, we talked about kill whitey, get rid of white bread, white flour, and white sugar. That's a great, great start. And lots of clean, clear, cool water. There's only one drink, and that's water. Everything else, sodas, beer, wine, coffee, tea, and I love coffee, don't get me wrong, but drink plenty of cold, clear water. Hydration is a critical, important part of nutrition and health that we often get overlooked. And so how does this all lead to immune challenges? Well, again, when you stress the system, when you stress the body, it becomes less resilient and less adaptable. So when it comes to better health outcomes and helping a child heal and tackle chronic issues like asthma and allergies, big question is, how do we challenge the status quo? And I understand, guys, like I said, the scratch tests and the Claritin and the breathing treatments and the inhalers, we totally get it. You were on this webinar because someone recommended us, or you saw this online, or you hopped on a registration link because you're looking to define better, you're looking for a better way to health for your child, and we're hoping the pediatric chiropractic could be that for you. And so where does this all lead, right? You load up all these factors to one end of the scale, and then you get things are out of balance, right? So we're seeing more asthma in children than ever before. I remember in first grade, there was one kid. Now you're lucky to find one kid in the class that doesn't have some kind of a chronic health issue. And to me, that's a shame. And that's what we're trying to change here at Mother Goose Chiropractic. Allergies. It's not just seasonal. It's year-round. It's not just hay fever. It's not just pollen and pet dander. These are chronic health challenges that are plaguing both children and adults. So when it comes to asthma specifically, oftentimes we try and deal with the environment first. Let's change the environment to suit a weakened body, right, with a child. Okay, well, they're prone to, their lungs aren't as healthy, their airway's not as healthy, so we got to change and sanitize and all this stuff in the environment. Keep them away from the pets, keep them away from the pollen, keep them away from the dust, because we don't want to get those irritants in the system, so the system spasms and triggers that constriction, that panic, that anxiety. Oh my gosh, where's the inhaler? Again, guys, that's you or your child. We totally get it. That can be really, really scary. That can be the most terrifying thing for a parent, obviously. Oh my God, my child can't breathe. And then the other thing too that we like to deal with, because we watch children grow up as we take care of them and their families, is that when a child has a chronic health issue, that can also take a real toll on their self-esteem. That the anxiety of a child of, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to breathe? Can I play catch with my friend? What if I don't have my, albuterol with me? That kind of a thing. And we want to make sure that we're empowering them so that those chronic struggles don't impact, them expressing who they really are and affect their self-esteem. That's really, really important to us as well. So looking for triggers, looking for things that can trigger the immune system. It can be stressful and scary, and we totally get it. So again, in chiropractic, we look at the neurology. We look at, okay, is there a breakdown in communication between the brain and the immune system, between the brain and the lungs, between the brain and the airway? And in chiropractic, specifically, we look to the lower part of the neck, the lower cervical spine. If you think of the spine as a big circuit breaker, right? The lower cervical spine, C3, 4, and 5, those nerves are used for breathing control and airway control. It's a one-to-one. So if you have areas of the spine that aren't moving and grooving the way that they're supposed to, that irritates the nerves. That changes the quality of the information that the brain's receiving. So if the brain isn't effectively operating the lungs or the airway over time, more prone to breakdown and disease in a nutshell. And then also in the lower back, where the mid back and the lower back meet, that junction, those nerves are really, really important for innervating. Innervation is the word meaning where nerves go to feed. Those nerves feed, power, and activate the diaphragm. So when a child's in the midst of an asthma attack, those deep panic breaths and the diaphragm can't get air in, those are really important areas for anxiety as well. So when we address any areas of stress and irritation in the nervous system, lower cervical and that thoracolumbar transition are really, really common areas that we see for kiddos with this, type of an asthma profile. And then the one thing that I wanted to read, because we have patients routinely that they're able to either, again, chiropractic not being a treatment for asthma, but in pediatrics and, working with children, oftentimes mom and dad say, okay, they're having less attacks. They're breathing back better. We don't need to use the inhaler quite as often. We're not quite as panicked about that situation because we know that something's happening, something's changing, the body's healing. That's great. According to the research, I'm going to read this verbatim because on my notes here, I want to make sure I get this right. According to the research, there's a 45% decrease in the number of asthma attacks for those under chiropractic care. Okay, so they did a big research, big longitudinal study. People under chiropractic care, 45% less asthma attacks. That's pretty awesome. People under chiropractic care as well, this is from the Journal of Vertebral Subluxation, peer-reviewed journal, 31% voluntarily chose to decrease reliance on medication. So if you can decrease the frequency of asthma attacks and decrease reliance on medications, I'd call that a better way to health, right? Doesn't mean that you don't have them in case of emergency. That's a godsend. That's fantastic. Really, really important. But if we can improve quality of life and improve the function of that airway, of the lungs, of the immune system, that's pretty powerful stuff. And that's what we do day in and day out with the children and families that we take care of. Now, on to allergies. Okay, so everyone knows the story. Everyone's got a friend or knows a child that has allergies. So, again, pet dander, don't get rid of the dog or the cat, or, you have a friend over and then, oh my gosh, you have a cat, and their eyes are swelling up at dinner. I mean, adults too, right? We see that all the time. Pollen, grass clippings. I know kiddos that down here, the landscapers come by and cut the grass, and if the kid goes outside, their calves start itching. And then, of course, seasonal stuff, right? When the plants are producing more pollen. When Dr. Karen and I were in grad school in Atlanta, we didn't have any snow, but we had pollen season for 3 weeks in Atlanta, where you literally it would be like a half inch on the car. It's unbelievable. So didn't wash the car for those 3 weeks. But again, seasonal changes obviously can tax and stress the immune system and manifest in more allergies, more runny noses, more sinus congestion, more red, itchy eyes. And we see this again also in children as well. So it's not just seasonal allergies based on what's going on in the environment, but also, foods can trigger it, being around other kids. We get lots of kiddos that once they, leave the home and they're in daycare, they get that, those itchy eczema breakouts, on their hands and their legs, contact dermatitis. Are they allergic to the cleaners or, something else in another kiddo's snack pack? We see that stuff all the time. So the important thing is that the question would be why. Again, it's, flies don't cause garbage, right? So what's different internally about someone that has asthma and allergies versus the person that doesn't? What's different about the child that has gets that eczema breakout after starting daycare versus the child that's completely healthy and has no challenges whatsoever? Well, it's all about how the brain and the immune system are processing those allergens, those things in the environment. When they come into the body, when they come in contact with the body, is the brain and the immune system perceiving that as a threat and a stress? Or is that just saying, oh, that's okay, that's just a little bit of dust, a little cough sniffle, let's filter that out, take a licking and keep on ticking and go on with life? Is the body adapting? Is the immune system displaying an appropriate response? Or is the immune system stressed? Is the nervous system stressed so that when we come in contact with these normal allergens in the environment, the body displays an inappropriate response and swells up and congestion and runny eyes, noses, coughing, that kind of stuff? That's the question that we have to ask. So really that comes down to, again, guys, a question of adaptation. Is the nervous system appropriately coordinating the immune response so that you can adapt and be healthy? Or is the body stressed and not adapting so the immune system goes haywire and displays an inappropriate response like congestion, like cough, sniffle, sneezes, like closing down an airway? What causes that? So to understand how the body adapts and heals, how the immune system displays an appropriate response so you can be healthy, you have to understand who's running the show. And again, in chiropractic, pediatric, and otherwise, and the people we take care of, it's all about the nervous system. The brain is always making a decision with the information that it's given. It's, it is the boss. Brain is running the show. And then outside of that, obviously, you have the nerve system and the immune system, two most closely related systems in the body. But the immune system isn't just, in some wing of the house, and when you come in contact with germs or bugs or invaders or dust, the immune system then just does its thing, right? It's the nervous system that directs and coordinates the immune response. And that communication is critical. It's really why, again, the nerve system and the immune system, you really can consider that one super system. You also have the endocrine system. So that speaks to, is the body producing the right hormones at the right times? And also, with the endocrine system, what's really, really important as well, not just the hormone chemical messengers to know when to turn systems on and off when it comes to that immune response, but also the health of the gut. So moms and dads, if you have Googled around and looked around and been around the block looking for alternatives, you probably run into a lot of holistic options, right? Not as interested in the amoxicillin, more elderberry syrup, that kind of stuff. What can you do? Well, gut health is really, really important. Obviously, probably eliminated the gluten and the red dye 40 and all that stuff. So gut health is really, really important for the health of the immune system, because if the gut is damaged and inflamed, what happens is you get these big complexes that pass through the cells of the gut lining. They go directly into the bloodstream, where the immune system, blood cells, or white blood cells, I should say, in the immune system, and the blood say, what is all this stuff? And then if you have a damaged gut and these compounds leak into the bloodstream, that can cause autoimmunity, overreactions. Rheumatoid arthritis is essentially chronic, long-term GI gut damage that stresses the immune system, because if the gut's damaged, it spills over into the blood, the immune system says, whoa, what's going on? Attack, attack. And then eventually the body can't differentiate between self and non-self. And when the immune system starts attacking the body, that's called autoimmunity. That is the most extreme, dialed it up to 11 immune response that we can see. Rheumatoid arthritis, the body literally attacking the joints, Crohn's, colitis, those types of things as well. Autoimmune conditions where the nerve system, the brain, is so stressed, it's not coordinating the immune system appropriately. The immune system is so overwhelmed and goes so crazy, it literally starts attacking tissues of the body. So again, how do we make sure that the body can adapt and display an appropriate response? Well, in chiropractic and pediatrics, we look to the nervous system. Master control system, really, really important. And that's where chiropractic adjustments, that's where we have influence to de-stress the system, to calm the brain so the brain can more effectively regulate that immune response. That's what we do with children and toddlers and moms and dads and kiddos. All right, and also to break down the immune system into a little bit of a two separate categories, it really helps to understand the two halves of the immune system, right? You have a Th1 response and you have a Th2 response. And again, it's the brain and the nervous system that direct those. So Th1, that is more, like the slide says, more externalization. So that's when something, the body, dander or germs or dust or bacteria come in, whether you're out at Boy or Girl Scouts at the campground, you breathe it in, or if you're a little baby and you're new to daycare and one of the kids around you, or their germs in there, they take that in. It's also referred to as your natural or your innate immunity. So when you get congested and when you get gummed up and stuffed up, that's the body localizing that mucus, that inflammatory response to say, okay, we just took something into the system that shouldn't be there. We need to gum it up, bog it down, encapsulate it, and then either our eyes will run so we can get it out there, or our nose gets stuffed so we can blow our nose, or if I got something in my lungs, let me cough and spit that phlegm out. That's the Th1 response, okay? That's also responsible for spiking a fever. You know what? Maybe it goes a little bit deeper. If I go camping and I run down to the river and grab a bucket of water and drink that, not good. Lots of germs, viruses, and bacteria. I can get sick and die. That's not on my schedule. What do? You boil the bucket on the fire. That way you kill everything, all the germs and the bad stuff, so you can drink the water and not get sick. Fever is the exact same way. That's part of that Th1 initial line of defense, okay? Th2, just think deeper, all right? This is also referred to as humoral immunity. You see those Schoolhouse Rock videos of white blood cells kicking around the blood, and then, they bump into something. Okay, attack and take it out. That's the Th2 response. It's also referred to as the antigen antibody, meaning when your body's exposed to something, the immune system has a memory. It will tag that and save that as a memory. So if you ever encounter it again, they can make specific antibodies to go after and attack. So that is, Th1 or Th2. Now, here's the thing, guys. When it comes to stress, whether it's neurological, chemical, emotional, when the nerve system is affected and bogged down and it's not effectively coordinating the immune response, where chronic conditions like asthma and allergies come from what's called class switching, okay? Moms, if you have children that struggle with this stuff, I'm sure your allergist or pediatrician have talked to you about class switching. It happens when the brain and the nervous system and the immune system get confused and the Th1 response and the Th2 response switch, okay? I breathe in some dust. My body doesn't make mucus and make me congested. My body says, oh my gosh, go into crisis lockdown, shut down the airway. Okay. Consequently, with chronic allergies, it's the same thing. It is a reversal of these two immune responses. All you need to really know is that it just means that the system is stressed and completely out of balance. So how do you promote balance in the system? That is the key question that you need to ask. So in order to understand how you improve the health and adaptation of the system, you have to understand not just Th1 and Th2 in the immune system, but how the nervous system functions. So chiropractic has total influence over balance in the nervous system. So we like to say the brain can run the body through two states. You've got a gas pedal mode, which you guys have probably referred to before as the fight or flight response, or the sympathetics. Okay, that's a short-term emergency survival response. The other half of the nervous system is we refer to it as the brake pedal. That is the parasympathetic, rest and repair, hormone balance, sleep, digestion, and immune function. So what chiropractic does, when we get a baby or a toddler or a child specifically and gently checked and adjusted, what we're doing is we are promoting awakening that brake pedal half of the nervous system. We are, by de-stressing the nervous system, decreasing stress hormone production, we're by default increasing parasympathetic tone, brake pedal tone. We're clearing the filter, so to speak. Kind of like when your phone gets slow and sluggish and you do a hard reset, we're allowing the brain and the body to reset and coordinate and boot up that brake pedal, digestion, immune function, rest, and repair half of the nervous system. That way, the brain and the nervous system can more effectively coordinate the immune system response. So decreasing stress, increasing adaptability, that's what chiropractic adjustments do. They build neurological fitness so that your brain is not stressed, so that your brain has plenty of room to adapt. So when your child encounters something or you encounter something, the brain can say, okay, immune system, what's going on? Okay, got it. Why don't you knock that out and take that out and display an appropriate response by, congestion, and let's sneeze it out, a little bit of a cough, and let's cough it out. We need to spike a fever. We can cook it out, as opposed to, okay, I got a little bit of peanut butter on my pinky finger. Anaphylaxis, shut down the airway. We don't understand what's going on because the immune system and nervous system is so stressed and compromised. Okay? Is chiropractic a treatment for peanut allergies? No. But like we said, according to the research, improving neurological function, improving immune function, less reliance on medications, fewer asthma attacks, fewer allergies. It's funny. Speaking of this, immune function, we take care of a lot of children that have behavioral issues like ADHD, autism, sensory processing issues, and usually a month or so into care, if they had immune challenges that mom and dad didn't mention, that's usually around the time where they say, oh, you know what, they're sneezing way less, or oh, you know what, they're not having breathing problems like they used to, or they're not getting sore throats and ear infections quite as often, that kind of a thing. So again, chiropractic adjustments rebalance the brain and the nervous system so the nervous system can more effectively boot up the immune system. Neurological balance is critical for healthy immune function. And that being said, guys, the stay home, stuff that's going on with everybody. Last month, we did a 4-part series that goes into this neuroimmune connection, strengthening your neuroimmune system. We call it Kick the Sick. It's more of a general overview. If you go back on our Facebook and under the videos and search Kick the Sick, It is a webinar video series that we did on understanding all the different components of the immune system, understanding pediatric chiropractic, how we can help. This webinar is really specific to the topic, again, of asthma and allergies, but it all comes down to adaptability. Can the brain display an appropriate response, and so that it can appropriately boot up immune function and do what it needs to do to heal, to adapt, to be healthy? Or is the brain and the nervous system stressed? Is the immune system stressed and the body's out of balance? So you're getting these hypersensitivity immune reactions where the body, congestion or trouble breathing or chronic, watery eyes and allergies and those types of things. Adaptability is key. Pediatric chiropractic, you, your child, and your family can help your body adapt better and thus help your body heal better. Not a treatment for asthma or allergies, but improved quality of life, absolutely. Form follows function. It's that neuroimmune response. And remember, the nervous system and the immune system, it's the neuroimmune system, the two most closely related systems in the body. So overall, to kind of wrap things up and land the plane here, 5 things that we recommend in order to boost your child's immune system naturally. Well, we already talked about, it's a question of susceptibility. If you're healthier, if you don't wait and react until there's an issue or a cold or a sickness or a late night, ER visit for breathing treatment or whatever, needs to be done. And again, we understand those struggles, guys. We can certainly help. If you want to conquer sickness, you increase your health. You strengthen the body. You make sure that you're as healthy as possible. And that way you're less susceptible to germs, bacteria, all that kind of stuff that's going around. So the first way to conquer sickness is to increase your health. And that's what we're all about at Mother Goose Chiropractic. Again, sunny Southwest Florida. Vitamin D boosts the immune system. Vitamin A helps boost the immune system as well. Get outside, run around. Movement is critical for getting exercise, releasing endorphins, helping boost that immune response as well. So it's really easy, right? Stay home. So you want to take a break, go outside, run around with the kids, play catch, walk the dog. Get outside and get moving. That's fantastic. And then nutrition, we talked about getting rid of white flour, white sugar. Understand everyone's home, right? So it's tough. Kids are hungry and snacking, but you also have the time to change some patterns and habits and set yourself up for success. So when you go to the store, less Oreos and Cheez-Its, maybe more fruits and vegetables. And if you surround your children with that stuff, maybe that just better change the culture of the family so that everyone can make better decisions. And then you add things in, right? If wheat thins or snack packs or their Lunchables are their favorite thing, add in fruits and vegetables. Add the good stuff first, and then you can start to change behaviors and habits and subtract some of the bad stuff. But add the good stuff in first, make it easier. Smoothies, great way to do that. Holy cow. Really, really cool. And you got the time at home for the cleanup to do some juicing or smoothies and a fun little routine. And it's a fun activity to kill some time while you're home with your kiddos. There you go. You're welcome. We understand those struggles too. All the people we take care of have been coming in saying, "What do I do with after they're done with their school Zoom calls and their homework assignments?" Make a smoothie. Try some fun new recipes and get the kids involved, and then they're a little bit more invested in their nutrition and eating healthier. Really, really great opportunity now that we all have the time to do so, right? For the last thing, and really first and foremost, chiropractic. Boosting the immune system by decreasing gas pedal sympathetic fight or flight stress frees up energy for the brain to boot up that brake pedal parasympathetic arrest and repair, that half of the nervous system that appropriately runs the immune system. It's all about a better connection, neurological connection. And then that being said, if this resonates with you guys, if this is you, if you have had a child that had the ear infections, and then the RSV, and then as they got older, maybe, the story that we hear, the croup, that type of stuff as they get older, then that postnasal drip because of the ears and the sinuses aren't draining properly, if there's congestion and that the nervous system, the immune system are backed up, and there's a lot of that junk that gets stuck there, that can really overload the postnasal drip. So you get inflammation, so they can get sinus infections or, constant tonsillitis. So then what do you get told? Well, let's take out the tonsils and the adenoids. Okay, so you're removing more of that innate barrier that's supposed to be filtering out and cleaning and getting that junk out of the system. And all that postnasal drip goes down into the lungs where it festers. The lungs can't break that junk up necessarily. And so what do? You get a stressed, bogged down immune system, and that can cause asthma, that can cause allergies. That's kind of the story that we hear. So mom and dad, whether this is an infant, with ear infections, a toddler with chronic congestion, sinus, or bronchitis, or maybe they're a little bit older and the problem's festered in the nervous system and the immune system for longer, and it's bogged down, and they've got more of an asthma, allergy, chronic type of a situation. Don't wait for the next crisis. Don't wait until they're afraid to go on the school trip. Don't wait until they say something to you heartbreaking like, "Mommy, am I ever going to be healthy?" Don't wait until it takes a toll on their self-esteem. At Mother Goose Chiropractic, we are about empowering children and families to find a better way to health. And when you increase your health, sickness takes a back seat. So here's the thing, guys. At a time where the ERs and our, the first responders and that whole system is really bogged down and stressed, and maybe you're considering, oh my gosh, what if we have a crisis like that? I don't want to take my child to the ER or the hospital because I don't want them being exposed to something that I might, perceive as worse, right? A lot of our mamas, are asking for a lot of midwife recommendations because right now maybe they don't want to give birth in a hospital. So there, there's that to consider too, as we are, dealing with what we're dealing with as a society, right? So chiropractic, again, according to the research, I'm going to read this one verbatim, guys. Chiropractic adjustments, pretty cost effective. People under chiropractic care, there's a study they did 3 or 4 years ago, 60% less hospital admissions, 59% less hospital stays, 60% less outpatient surgeries and procedures, and 83% less in pharmaceutical costs. So you might want to send this replay to grandma and grandpa. They're looking to decrease their reliance on medications. Southwest Florida, right? Now, we love our snowbirds. But that's really the reality, guys, is that whether it's asthma and allergies or whatever your child is struggling with, the way to conquer that, the way to save yourself time, energy, money, and restore quality of life and restore peace of mind is to strengthen the body so that it can better adapt to the environment. We tried it when I was a kid in the 90s, sanitizing the environment, antibacterial hand soaps, and again, peanut allergies went through the roof, right? Because you can't over-sanitize the environment and hope that the body's going to be healthy. You have to strengthen the body. It's all about the immune system and the nervous system so the body can adapt appropriately, display an appropriate immune response. So if this has resonated with you and that this sounds like you or your child, I would urge you to get checked. I'm going to put down below. One of our hashtags is Hope Dealer, right? We want to help people to find better health for their children and their families. So we're going to put the office cell phone down here. You can text that 24/7. That goes to Dr. Carey and myself. Again, I have a 1-year-old. He is, no pun intended. I put my money where my mouth is. I'll bet you anything. He's one of the healthiest children in Southwest Florida. And I could not imagine every time someone who comes to us and shares the heartbreaking stories and struggles of, again, the midnight runs to the ER or, running out of allergy medication or, oh my gosh, I've got to go refill the inhaler. I had to leave work early because they had this sporting event coming up. I understand it's heartbreaking. We can help you guys with that stuff by helping your children be as healthy as they can be. That is why God put us here. That's why we exist. Shoot us a text, shoot us a DM if you'd like to schedule a consultation for you, your child, or your entire family to get the nervous system checked, to see, okay, how effectively is the brain adapting? How effectively is the brain running that immune system? We can absolutely help. We would be honored to help you, answer any questions, get you the information that you need, and help you tell a better story for your children and your family. Please don't hesitate to reach out. And if also this information, if you find it helpful, the National Family Wellness Alliance, we have a nationwide network of people, elite specialists like us, pediatric chiropractors. It's a very unique specialty, working with infants, toddlers, and children. We can get you a referral. This jog your memory for someone else that's maybe in another area of the country. Also, please let us know. We can find you a resource. And connect with us. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Mother Goose Chiropractic. We love to empower people with educational content, but we do a lot of fun stuff too. And we would love to, cell phone. We would love to just be that hope dealer and, put a little stride in your step. And, if you follow us, we do a lot of fun things on social media as well. Again, I'm Dr. Dane Cunningham from Mother Goose Chiropractic. This is our Asthma and Allergies webinar as part of the National Family Wellness Alliance. If I could help you, your child, or your family, it's a very important part of my mission here. So feel free to reach out. I hope you found this information helpful, and have a wonderful night, guys. God bless.